Okay, there we go. Let's see if people can find this now. I apologize. It seems like half the time that we try to do this on YouTube without paying for a streaming service, then we have problems on YouTube. But thank you so much for being here and for following us over. Thank you, Utah Mike. Thank you, North Carolina Douglas. Oh, South Florida. Okay, we got you. Thank you, Rick, for being over here. Can you all hear me and see me now? This is a different channel, so fantastic. Yeah, the difference between these paid services and the free YouTube services are just unbelievable. I guess I'm going to have to start paying for StreamYard on a regular basis because, how many times do we try to do something on this YouTube Live? And if we schedule it for later, then when it comes later, then we don't have the video and audio that we need to get it going. Okay. So for the last 2 weeks, we've had a whole bunch of interviews. Wasn't it great getting to talk to both Yana and to James Jones? What a wonderful guy. He's the author of the book we're currently doing. We're going to continue on in his book this evening, and that's chapters 18 and 19. So chapter 18, we're going to be talking about field hygiene, basically. Chapter 19, Rick, thank you. Yes, please do. I would appreciate that. Chapter 19 is going to be about food sourcing and storage. So wonderful topics. The two that I consider to be my strengths. Okay, so that's the two areas that I really, really care for, that I really promote the most. I've got a little bit of a show and tell. We'll try to get through both of them in the next hour. So we want to end by 9:05. I'm sorry for the inconvenience of having to be over here. Before we do that, I do want to share a couple of things. So let me get to my share link here. I think that's share. Share screen, yep. So what I would like for you to do is first, let me see if I can find it now. It's got to be down here at the end of my tabs, and I'm sure it is. And I'm not finding them. I wanted to share with you two different websites. I thought I had them up here, but I don't. Okay, I want to share with you. The first one is okay, I've got it. The first one is AmericanSurvivor.org. AmericanSurvivor.org. And I would like you to go to that. There is a tab over to the right, about on the black strip up top, about the third to the last tab, and it's called networking. So let me tell you what's going on. The guy in chat who's going with what's the name of the magazines, Rick? Ready Magazine is Rick, and Rick and I are both on the board for AmericanSurvivor.org. And we are forming a local chapter here in the greater Austin area of American Survivor. And not only are we forming one here in the greater Austin area together, and it's going to be under the tutelage and teaching of Mr. James Jones, the author of the book, but he is trying to get all kinds of chapters started throughout the U.S. So the reason I opened that tab for you is I would like for you to go there and just enter in some basic personal information. It's not going to be sold to anybody. It's not going to be used for anything other than connecting you with like-minded people in your area who would like to get together so that you can establish your own group. Now, make sure you meet with them before you enter into any agreements, find out whether you're compatible or not, whether you believe you can trust them, all that kinds of stuff. But remember, trust comes through over time. But this is a beginning. So it gives you the opportunity to look and see, are there people out there that you think you might be able to get along with and form a chapter and survive together with? The other one I would like for you to go to is called TACDA, TACDA.org, O-R-G. They sell all of Mr. Jones's books. I keep trying to call him doctor. That's just how much I think he knows. but all of Mr. Jones's books. But they also have a survival store, all kinds of journals that are free to you if you do them online search. You can subscribe to the American Journal of Self-Defense, of Civil Defense, I'm sorry. And I think I end up paying like $10 a year for that, to get 2 publications a year. And they're phenomenal publications. So please do me a favor, do yourself a favor. Join AmericanSurvivor.org. Look for the groups. See if you can sign up and become a member of a group. Number 2, go to TACTA.org, get Mr. Jones's books, and what a wealth of knowledge they are. Bouger Prepper, good evening. Gosh, this is 2 weeks in a row. I am so glad to see you. Okay, let's go back up to the top. We have Utah Mike, North Carolina Douglas, also known as South Florida. Rick with Ready Magazine, Scott Hummer, Utah Mike, Patty's Garden, Laura Mannion, Little Lone Prepper, Shenanigans, good evening, good to see you. I hope I haven't left anybody out. Cats in Prepping, Tuck by V1. Tuck by V1 and I quite often see each other on Friday nights with Prepping by Sarge's channel. He's a regular follower there as well. And so that, and Bouger Prepper. So that's kind of where we are as far as people online. Theoxorus, good to see you, my friend. Leslie G, great. What a great group of people this evening. Okay, let's get started. I want to talk. I'm not going to go through the book. I want you to buy the book. Let me tell you, so much great information. You need this book. This needs to be on your in your library in the event anything happens. What a resource guide it is. We're going to start off with hygiene and sanitation. He gives you a list of hygiene supplies that he recommends that you have. He goes through some formulas on how to make toothpaste, how to make hand soap. He's got all kinds of equipment he recommends that you have on hand for hand washing, clothes washing, all the different kinds of hygiene things that you need to do. Probably because of the lives we've been leading and what Hey, Homestead, good evening, welcome. Because of the way we have been living, being thrust into a world without hygiene is going to be detrimental to most of us. So you're going to have a way of making sure that you have cleanliness around you. He talks about making lye soap production. Get as much of the hand sanitizer as you can and store it. Same thing with liquid soap, if you can get any liquid soap. You've seen me on my weekly prepper. This one's kind of got crushed. My weekly prepper pantry haul, and I'll put a link for this down below. We get these. This is what they use in the hospitals. It's called bathing wipes. So you can use 1 or 2 of these and wipe down. No rinsing required. Has a biodegradable soap in it. What I like to do is it has 3 packages inside. I'll tear this apart. I will vacuum seal those so that they don't evaporate. And those go out in the garage with my hygiene set. Along with, now we have plenty of toilet paper, but you also want to make sure you have plenty of wipes, of these cleansing wipes, okay? And these are going to decrease the overall usage of toilet paper. So they'll help you store up on your toilet paper so it lasts a lot longer. But it's going to keep you a little bit cleaner too. So these 2 things are going to be essential. One of the things that I recommend that you get, and I'll have a link for it down below, is the Humanure Handbook. And this is basically how to take your waste, your human waste, and turn it into compost that you can use as fertilizer for your garden. So there's a couple of great things in here. I'm old enough, most of you probably are not. I am old enough to where I remember my grandmother's 2-hole outdoor latrine outhouse is what we called it, outhouse. So she didn't have running water. She didn't have electricity. We used a Coleman lantern, not a Coleman lantern, but a kerosene lantern inside the house for light at night. That's what we played Parcheesi, War, and Canasta with. She had a hand pump for water in the kitchen, and that's what we used for water. She had a canopy under her bed and a canopy over her bed, canopy. But anyhow, and then we went out to the outhouse during the daytime. During the nighttime, you didn't want to do that too much. We didn't have flashlights, and so it wasn't the wisest thing to walk out to the outhouse. It was probably about 30 yards away from the house, and so you could trip over stuff, fall, all kinds of stuff, especially in the winter and the snow. So we tried to limit ourselves to going out to the outhouse only during hours of daylight. There was a chamber pot that we kept in one of the rooms, and you would use the chamber pot at night, and then in the morning somebody would have to take that chamber pot out and dump it into the outhouse. I have a feeling that's what we'll probably go back to. Now, you can, if you have ample water, flush your toilet with the water, external water, and that will go out. However, I don't think that's going to be very moral or ethical. We're up on top of the hill here, so I don't have to worry about anything backing up. However, remember that if everything is stopped up down below, then everything that I flush into that system is going to back up and it's going to affect somebody down below. It also has an opportunity to get into our drinking water supply. So you don't want to do that, okay? You want to have a way of handling your waste inside your normal area in a way that it's not affecting somebody else. One of the things I really like here is they give you the instructions on how to make a composting toilet. And then they also instruct you in how to, I think I have it marked here, just a minute. I thought I had it marked. Come on, it's back here. They also show you how to make a compost field. Come on. I had you marked. What happened to you? It's not marked anymore, but there it is. How to make a compost bin. So what you're going to do with your compost bin is the same thing you're going to do with your wood supply. Your wood, you cut it and you put it into different bins. So you know the age of your wood, because you don't want to burn green wood. You want it to age at least a year before you use it. Same thing with compost piles. You're going to have an active pile. So let's say you start January 1st. This is your active pile. So it's going to be everything this year from January 1st to December 31st goes in your active pile. Next year, the year after that, you have a different active pile. And that goes from January 1st to January 31st, while the other pile that you just finished using is composting. So you're going to need different things. You're going to need some natural components, straw, grass, leaves, whatever, to mix in there with that to help with the composting action. And then if you have at least two, so that you're letting it compost for a full year, then you can finally use that as fertilizer when that gets done. The Germans do it that way. In Germany, they will compost most human manure, and then they will spread it onto the sides of the Alps, where the cattle go during the summer to graze. And so, as they put it down right before the first snowfall, then as the snow melts, of course, it takes it down into the earth along with the melting water, and then, of course, the composted poop. And that really makes it easy to fertilize the earth. Iggy Homestead says it's easy to mix with two piles. Yes. If you've got an active pile and then a composting pile, I think it's the best way to do it. Let me catch up with comments here. Oh, great. Bouger Prepper, great. And he has other books as well. I'll put all this other stuff. I'll have to redo everything as far as description. It was in the old one, but I'll have to redo all that. Maybe I can just do a copy paste and get it done real quickly over to this one. Yeah, this is not a good pillow. Thank you for that comment, Theoxerus. Make sure you read it. Even though we've kind of encapsulated it, there's so much in here. Let me tell you, you need to focus on a chapter, no more than one chapter every 2 or 3 days, okay? Because you really need to absorb it, think about it, put it into a plan, especially with the next chapter we're going to be talking about. One of the other things that we want to talk about here is getting a composting toilet. Let me see if I can get this one to show. So, the video file. Is that it? No. That's not what I want to do. Share or invite. Share screen. Amazon. There we go. Now, this is a fantastic thing, and it's on sale right now. This is the portable toilet, and it's like 33% off right now. I have one that's called the Luggable Loo. I bought 3 of them about 10 years ago. But this is a fantastic little toilet you can keep inside your house. Make sure you have plenty of trash bags. I would recommend having 2 trash bags inside this, an outer liner and an inner liner. Then you can take the inner liner out and dispose of it. And you can take it out to wherever your composting area is. Or if you want to, I have a 55-gallon barrel I ordered from Azure Standard. And I've drilled holes in it so I can get air circulation down on the bottom. In the military, we have 55-gallon drums that we actually go into the bathroom inside of. So we'll have this gallows up top, and they'll have these porta potty things like this with a hole in the bottom of it, and that kind of falls down into the 55-gallon drum. And so once a week, we take that 55-gallon drum, we roll it over to a slit trench, dump that into the slit trench, fill in 5 gallons of diesel fuel, and light it on fire. And then we burn all the poop that way. I think that's the person who has to do that's the guy who had the most mistakes that previous week. I think that's the beginning of the term getting on the first sergeant's poop list. So he keeps a list of who's going to do the burning of the poop. And it's always the guys who have messed up the most. So, but anyhow, this is a great thing to have. It does have a lid so that it does contain some of the odor. Make sure that one of the things you have in your plan, if you're going to have a potty inside the house, which I think most of us are going to have, make sure you have some sort of odor deodorizer, spray, whatever, that you can keep it a little bit more tolerable in your homestead. So, that's one of those things you might want to do. Okay. Let me get here. If I can find where I have it. I have no idea where it is. Okay, there it is. Stop sharing. Okay, so that's that. The next one is, so we've gone over wipes, both for body wipes for bathing. You can also get the 5-gallon hanging showers, which are fantastic. And you can put those in your normal shower and use it in there. However, a lot of them have solar bags that if you put them in direct sunlight, it's going to warm the water up so that it's a lot easier to take a shower. In that case, I recommend that you get a tarp and just wrap a tarp around 4 poles so you have some privacy. And then you can put you can hang your hanging 5-gallon shower up higher so it gets plenty of direct sunlight, stays warm, and you can take a shower. We plan on 5 gallons per person per week for showers, okay? So not very much. You're only going to get 1 shower a week, which is why it's important that you have some other things such as these bathing wipes, okay? So that if you want to stay clean body-wise, that's what you're going to have to do. Now, we are going to have 3 tubs, okay? The first tub's going to be warm water with soap. You're going to soap your hands, wash your hands in it. Then the second one's going to be a rinse, first rinse, so you can rinse your hands. Then the third one's going to be a second rinse, so you can rinse your hands a second time, and then a towel, okay? At the end of the day, the soapy water gets poured out. The water from the first rinse gets poured into the soapy water. The water from the second rinse gets poured into the first rinse, and then the third rinse gets fresh water, okay? So that way you're always moving your oldest water out, and then your second oldest over to the oldest spot, and just a little mechanization there. So that's some ideas on what you can do there. What questions do we have about hygiene and sanitation? I learned the hard way too, Boucher, so don't worry about it. I mean, we learn by our mistakes, don't we? So Pioxer says you can add a little water or alcohol. Either one is good to rejuvenate them. Laura says she remembers her grandma's 2-seater outhouse too, and the chamber pots. Yeah, that's a long time ago. So I'll tell you a story. We were up there visiting, and my mom went out, and my Uncle Bob was quite the prankster. and they had just come out with walkie-talkies. And so Uncle Bob, I don't know where he put it inside the outhouse, but he put it somewhere inside the outhouse. And so he waited a minute or two after my mom went in there, and he says, "Hey, Dean, would you move over to the other hole? I'm down here painting." And oh man, you heard the screech, and she ran out like you would not believe. But anyhow, those are some fun times, absolutely. Great idea. Thank you for sharing that, Iggy. Great idea. Septic tanks, absolutely. Now so I don't know how many of you know what a septic tank is or how it actually works. A septic tank is an always active composting pile. So what happens is your stuff comes in, it settles in a tank, and that tank is fairly large, and so it settles down to the bottom where it kind of composts, but it's always in a wet environment. And then you've got another hole up here so that the liquids all run off into a leach field. So you've got this pipe that runs out into your area. My sister-in-law and brother-in-law raise quarter horses and thoroughbreds. And so their leach field is basically out where they graze their horses. But all that goes just a couple of feet underneath the ground, and so that area stays constantly moist. And so your liquids are always being, put out into the fields. Your solids are there. Now, what happens to compost? It accumulates, right? So at some point, all that compost, and we're going to call it sludge because it's a liquid form of compost, not a dry form. So that sludge accumulates, and at some point it has to be drained out. So you have to pay somebody to come in with this big vacuum truck and suck all that stuff out, put it into their tank and haul it off, and then you can start all over again. And one of the biggest problems they have with septic tanks is they're very sensitive to toilet paper. So if they have a special type of toilet paper that biodegrades very quickly, so that you don't have these messes of toilet paper clogging up the entire system and the leach field and everything else. So yeah, you have to use a special toilet paper with septic tanks. Okay, I'm going to scoot on ahead here. Leslie G, good evening. Welcome. Good to see you. Good idea. Thank you for reminding me to say that. You are a champion. Absolutely. So if you don't want to buy a luggable loo or a composting toilet, what you can do, and I recommend once again, we use 2 bags, 2 kitchen trash bags. Put one down inside the toilet as a safety net. Put the other one down that you're going to use to dispose of your stuff. Leave it in the toilet. Okay. Now, what I will tell you is if you have 2 toilets in your house, separate one toilet for solid waste, one toilet for liquid waste. It's okay to have the liquid waste go into the toilet system. Okay. I probably would not want to flush the solids. Okay. So you're going to have your solids in a bag. Just make sure. I know, there are times you go to do number 2 and you do number 1 actually while you're there. That's okay. If you're intentionally only going to do number 1, set aside one toilet strictly for number 1. My 3 luggable loos. 1 is for liquids only. 1 is primarily for solids, understanding that sometimes when you sit down, you got to do the number 1 too. Then we're going to have a 3rd bag, and that 3rd bag, 3rd luggable loo, is going to be primarily for the paper products. So toilet paper, the wipes, anything like that, anything that's burnable, because we don't want to put that into our composting bins. Okay, we just want the poop. We don't want the paper. Okay. Joshua says he thinks he paid almost as much for the seat and lid as he did for the bucket. And it didn't come with a toilet, with a ticket dispenser. That's great. And Higgy says, yes, that the hanging showers do warm great in the sun. Thank you for sharing that. Let me see. Not a bad idea, Higgy. So Higgy says if you want privacy out in the backyard, a hula hoop raised up in the air with the shower curtain can do the job. That's great. You're absolutely right, Higgy. We do take water for granted. As a matter of fact, one of the channels that I belong to, Prepping for Long Term on YouTube. No, she's on Facebook. did a grid down exercise this last weekend and wanted to know what people learned. And one guy talked about he could not believe that they went through 35 gallons of water in 2 days for a family of 4. And yeah, it's going to be tough keeping it down to where you're actually using only the amount of water that you have stored. Yes, Laura, thank you for bringing that up. There's a fantastic article in TACTA on how to turn your house toilet into a dry toilet so that you can carry that stuff out. I tell you, and the resources, the articles, the vlogs, and everything else on both tacta.org as well as americansurvivor.com, phenomenal. Going to give you all kinds of great information. You won't have to buy a book for a couple months, I can tell you that much, except for the ones that we're reading, okay? Higgy Homestead says that her leach field is 200 yards away, which is fantastic. Kaylin's got a humongous one. My problem with that, Kaylin, is remember that 1 gallon of water is 8 pounds. So if we're talking about 10.5 gallons of water, we're talking a minimum of 80 pounds. I can't lift it that high. I probably would not be able to lift it up off the ground, let alone over my shoulders to hang it. So just remember, if you're going to have some sort of a pulley system in order to help you, to assist you to raise anything that heavy, that high. Let's see. Okay. Okay, let's shift over to chapter 19, which is wartime food storage and acquisition and stocking, or sourcing and stocking. So he talks about how bad malnutrition is and the things that we've seen done in the past. Talks about food stocking and storage. He gives you ideas on some of the best things to stock. The things that Mr. Jones recommends we buy are the things that are for sale at the LDS Provident Living Store. So you can get them for long-term storage. I'm going to give you Lee's theory on that here in just a second. So whether you should buy number 10 cans of stuff or whether you should buy them yourselves and process them for long-term storage. There are some things that you can't get, and bulk, and you're going to have to process or buy them canned, like fruits and things like that, powdered milk, powdered eggs. Those are going to be your priorities, along with powdered meats or freeze-dried meats. Those will be your priorities for the number 10 cans, long-term storage, freeze-dried, etc. I'm going to do a video on a lot of the food storage food companies that I recommend, strongly recommend, that you have if you are into that. Yes, and be careful. Hi, S. Good evening. Welcome. You have to be careful with eggs. Make sure you're getting the kind of eggs that you want. There are 2 kinds. There's the pre-cooked scrambled eggs. So you're going to add hot water to it, let it seep for a while, and then it's going to just be scrambled eggs. There's also what they call whole eggs. Now, whole eggs are scrambled and freeze-dried before they're cooked. So those are the kinds of eggs that you can use for baking, for making, mixing them into things. I use them. I've been on this kick with ramen soup, and so you can take a tablespoon of raw whole eggs, mix that, stir it, and then you can kind of like do an egg drop soup with it, because you're going to drop it in like that. That works fine. Just make sure you have one of the 2, know which one of the 2 you're buying and how it's going to be used when you do use it. Canned meats, bouillon, soup mixes, honey, sugar, flour. Excuse me. He has a great chart to use for planning on how to acquire things for your long-term food storage. A great idea. I strongly recommend that you follow it. Some alternative long-term food sources. Then he talks about food acquisition. He talks about foraging, both in the urban area as well as in the urban and natural or out in the field foraging. Talks about gardening, hunting, trapping, fishing. Then how do you preserve it? You can can it, smoke it, dry it, salt it, pickle it, all these different kinds of things. And then one of the things you have to understand is, and there's a guy by the name of Jin Sokushin. And he's also on that channel I told you about on Facebook, long-term prepping. He is a survivor of the fall of the wall in Eastern Europe. And so he has been sharing a lot of things. He shared today pictures he took of their local food markets after the fall in 1991, 1992. No food at all in either of the stores that he took a picture of. So, that's going to be, we are due for a financial fall here in the U.S. Matter of fact, the stock market semi-crashed on Friday. Thank God today was a holiday. Tomorrow, watch out, see what's going to happen. I mean, gold hit 4,000. Silver hit $40 an ounce. I mean, it's getting terrible. But anyhow, just be aware of that. There are some things I do want to caution you on. Let's do another screen share. I asked, a lot of people say, well, when it happens, I'm just going to hunt, fish, go out in the wild and do all that kinds of stuff. And so I did a question to, here we go. I found both of those I wanted to share earlier. What happened during the Depression? When people had to basically take a look and go out and hunt and forage and everything else. So the question I asked ChatGPT was, were there any animals or fish that went into extinction or near extinction as a result of overhunting and overfishing during the Great Depression? And so it brought back these results. So wild turkey was nearly extinct by overhunting. White-tailed deer was severely reduced due to overhunting. Waterfowl had sharp declines due to overhunting. As a matter of fact, waterfowl, duck and goose stamps were the first hunting requirements, and that was passed about 1937, 1938. I think it's got the up here. Here we go. So 1934, the Duck Stamp Act was to try to protect waterfowl. And in 1937, Pittman-Robertson Act was to put sales tax on hunting and fishing gear so that they could use that to try to keep the population of the wild stuff available. The bald eagle went into sharp decline because people were collecting the eggs, eating the eggs. American bison, already endangered, were even further endangered because of habitat loss and poaching. The beaver, due to low populations and overtrapping. American shad, which was a form of fish, declined due to overfishing. And then Carolina parakeet was extinct by 1939 due to hunting. So then I said, okay, well, if that's the case, my question here was, related to the same question, were any plants, flora, or fauna affected? And it says, yes, during the Great Depression, not only wildlife, but also plants, flora, and broader ecosystems were affected, especially due to overhunting, overfishing, habitat destruction from logging, agriculture, and industrial use, and the Dust Bowl, which had a devastating effect on soil. So then it goes through a whole bunch of different plants and flora that were affected because, well, for example, the American grass that the buffalo feed on, the native prairie grasses up here, was due to over plowing of the Great Plains for wheat production. And so what they do is they would uproot the grasses in order to plant wheat, and that killed the natural grazing land for the buffalo. So that was another problem with the buffalo. So I didn't realize it until reading this, but the Civilian Conservation Corps, which was formed, I forget where it is now. Pollinators, bees, butterflies were affected by overhunting. Amphibians and reptiles, frogs, toads, salamanders, anything like that was edible was greatly affected as well. But the Civilian Conservation Corps had efforts to restore a lot of the hunting areas and wetland areas and everything else in order to help to try to preserve a lot of the population that was gone. So, it's something else. So that's something you have to be aware of, is if everybody's planning on going out and hunting, then is the population you're hunting still going to be out there? And do you really want to be out in the forest with a whole bunch of people who have never hunted before, who don't know how to hunt, and don't know how to make sure that there's nothing behind the target that you're shooting at in case they miss? So another form of this is, trapping and things like that. So, just be aware of the fact that it's going to be highly contentious. One of the examples I like to use is you also have to remember the amount of ammunition that you have to have stored. So here in Texas, dove season is about 10 weeks in the spring and 10 weeks in the fall. And you have a limit of 15 dove per day. You're allowed to hold 3 times that. So I can have 30 dove in my freezer and shoot 15 more and have 45. Once that happens and I have 45 in my freezer, that's it. I can't dove hunt anymore for the rest of the season. So your limit is 15 per day, max holding of 45. Well, so let's say it takes 3 dove to feed me a meal. I can tell you that much. So 15 a day is a family of 5, okay? Family of 5 is going to eat 3 dove a day. That's great. Okay, are you a perfect shot? Can you get 1 dove every time you pull the trigger? So if you say yes, then you're going to have to plan for 15 dove a day times 10 weeks, that's 150, times 7, okay? So now we're looking at 1,050 shotgun shells that you're going to need just for one of the 2 seasons that year. And we're only talking less than half the year. 20 weeks of dove hunting is only half the year. And we're only talking 1 meal for 5 persons for 10 weeks, spring and fall, okay? So if you need 1,050 rounds times 2 seasons, and the reason it's a season is because it's a migratory bird. So that's when they fly north and when they fly south. But anyhow, so you're going to need somewhere close to 2,100 rounds of shotgun shells if you're a perfect shot and never ever miss, just for 1 year's worth of fowl. Same thing with turkey, okay? Now here in Texas, we have wild boar, and you don't even need a hunting license of any kind to get the wild boar. They just want them gone. They're feral hogs. And so you can go out and shoot them anytime, any way you want to. They'd be happy if they were all gone. So that's something you might want to consider. However, everything has its advantages and disadvantages. The feral hogs are not here in the area where I am. So if I want to go feral hog hunting, I'm going to have to drive over there. Well, how is fuel going to be in a grid down situation? Will I have the fuel to go looking for hogs? Probably not. So, think of all the different repercussions. When we talk about foods, and he talks about that a lot in here, remember that it's not just, you've got your freeze-dried, which are great. They take up a lot of space, not as much as the regular canned or bulk items, but they do take up a lot of space. You do have to plan extra water for that. Now, you have your canned goods that are pre-cooked, or they're cooked in the can. You can open those and basically eat them without warming them. So the advantage there is you don't need a heat source. It's nice to have a heat source. You don't have to have one. They have the shorter shelf life than does the freeze-dried or the dehydrated foods. And then you have the bulk foods, for example, beans, rice, and things like that you can basically divide up and put into your own storage containers, and they will last you a while. It's going to be a far more economical way of doing it. Let's say if you buy a 50-pound bag of flour and then divide that up into 10 5-pound bags that you vacuum seal, and you can vacuum seal those, or you can put in a oxygen absorber, and then if you put them in Mylar bags, you can seal that, and they will stay fresh for 50 years. And that's going to be far more economical than buying the equivalent amount, 10 cans of 10 5-pound cans, number 10 cans of flour. So you've got to figure out what's going to be the things what are the advantages of each item, what are the disadvantages of each item. Fruits, vegetables, fresh produce, you're going to have to can it in order to have it saved for a long time. Okay, that's all there is to it. Or pickle it. You can pickle it as well. So freeze-dried foods, You're going to have a heat source for your water. You're going to have plenty of water. Mix the two. Canned goods, all you have to do is eat it straight from the can. Nice if you have a can. If you heat it, got to have a heat source. Then the other stuff, beans, raw beans take longer to cook than does a can of, let's say a can of kidney beans you're going to buy at the store for $1. Okay, so all you have to do is warm those up. The kidney beans are going to take you 4 to 6 hours to cook, unless you have a slow cooker, something like the can cooker. Okay, there's a semi-pressure cooker that can reduce the amount of time that you have to cook. I have a can cooker because I'm very, very sensitive to the amount of heat and heat source that it's going to be required for me to live a couple years after SHTF. So how are you going to heat these things? What are you going to use for a heat source? And once again, we get back to what we started out with was, that composting toilet, having one area active and one area composting. The same thing with your wood piles. You've got one that's going to be aging probably for 6 months to a year, a second one that you're going to age for 6 months to a year, and then a third one that you're actively putting into. So you're going to draw from the oldest, add to the youngest, okay? And so you're going to use that oldest wood to do your cooking and eating. In the backyard, I have 8 40-pound bags of charcoal, so 320 pounds of charcoal. I have 2 55-gallon barrels full of wood, the kind you buy for a fireplace, and that's it, just that. No, I do have one 55-gallon barrel full of the pellets. There's an oven, a stove that's available for people that live out in the country, and it uses pellets, and it goes through a hopper into the fire bin. And I decided to get 55 gallons worth of pellets. I can use that in my rocket stove, okay? But so that's my plan on how I'm going to have heat sources for a period of time after SHTF. So make sure you have that included in your overall food storage and food stockpiling. Is how are you going to cook? How are you going to heat? So let me catch up with your comments. I should have marked the last one. Okay, I did. S. Singh was the last one I talked to. Utah Mike says that you can order from LDS store. We're very lucky here. We have a store here in town. It's open on Saturday mornings and Tuesday evenings. And what I like about going there on Saturday mornings or Tuesday evenings is that I can get 1 can of each at a time. So I would get a case and put in 1 can of each. When I first started, what I figured was I bought 1 can of refried beans, 1 can of flour, and 1 can of onions. That way I could use the refried beans and the onions and make flour tortillas with the flour, and I could have bean burritos for quite a while. Then I would add other stuff to it: rice, spaghetti bites, macaroni, sugar, flour, instant mashed potatoes, milk, all the other stuff. But I would get 1 case a week, or I get 1 case every 2 weeks on payday when I was being paid bi-weekly. And so that's how I kind of built up the majority of my stuff, yeah. And however, if you order from the LDS store, you're ordering in case lots. You'll order 1 case of flour, for example, or 1 case of sugar, whatever. Shenanigans says you can get silicone modes, put your dehydrated eggs in them, place them in water. The silicone floats and you can have a hard, soft. Wow, thank you. Do me a favor, send me an email and remind me of that. I got to try that. Likewise, same thing. Okay, great ideas. Thank you. Yes, they are online. Holy Hannah! Thank you, James Carroll. I did not know that. Wow. Unbelievable. And somebody's saying that gold went over 4,100 today. Unbelievable. My gosh. Utah Mike is recommending cereal grains for breakfast, soup for dinners, and 2 meals a day. So what I'm planning is something very light. In Europe, the Europeans have a very light breakfast. So it's usually bread, butter, cheese, and cold cuts for breakfast. Their main meal of the day used to be lunch, and then they would have a lighter dinner. And I'm planning on probably the same thing. So probably something like a ramen bowl or something like that for breakfast, and then for lunch having a heavy meal so that it gets worked off during the rest of the day, and then at evening something a little bit lighter. So yeah, you and I are in agreement. I'm going to have 2.5 probably, maybe 2 halves and a one for 2 meals a day. But yeah, we're not going to have the same availability of, and the less meals you serve, the less fuel you consume in cooking those meals, and the less water you're going to have cleaning those pots and pans. Okay, hopefully you're going to be using disposable eating stuff. I recommend, if you're going to buy one thing, buy disposable bowls. A bowl can be used for soup or for a meal, whereas a plate can only be used for a meal and not for soup. So if you're going to get one, get bowls. Just get bowls. Do not get styrofoam. Get the ones you can burn, because that can become beneficial to you in the winter. One of the things that I plan on doing is all my bowls, all my paper products will be burned in this pit that I have. And then that's going to be used to heat rocks. And the rocks are in a stainless steel bucket. And then I'm going to bring that bucket inside, place it on my oven door so that I have residual heat from the heated rocks. And then I'll take the rocks that I had inside, put them outside. So I've got 2 buckets full of rocks. One will be in the house heating the house. The other will be out on the burnable papers getting warmed up, if you will. Okay. Yes, both of them were devastating, and so the drought, of course, took care of what they would eat, what they would consume to stay alive, and then hunters took care of the rest of it. So you're absolutely right, and we still haven't gotten back a lot of those grazing lands. Oh, let me tell you, Higgy, I used to buy when I got my paycheck. Well, when I made my deposit every other week when I owned the store, I would stop by my friend Austin's Best Coin and Gold, and he was right across the street here in Round Rock, downtown Round Rock. And I would stop by and see James, and I would get $100 worth of whatever. Now, if I had a really good week, so I was buying $200 worth of gold and silver a month. If I had a really, really good week, I would get a gram of gold, or 1/20th of an ounce of gold, or 1/10 of an ounce of gold at the max. Never could afford 1 ounce gold piece, but and I got a lot of Mexican gold, which was 80% gold as well. So I was able to pick up a lot back then. I wish I had picked up more. I stopped when I sold my store. I should have continued that. My silver was purchased. My average price on my gold is $18.50. My average price on my silver is right at $14. So you can see where I made my mistake in not continuing on and purchasing. But I got really upset. I was with a company called Carrot Bars, Keratbars. And you could send in a small amount of money, $25 a month or whatever. I was sending in, I think, $50 a month. And then they would have this accrual for you. So they said, okay, if you send in $50 today, gold is at X price. So you bought 1.1 grams. Okay. Then you could have those grams mailed to you. I think I might even have one of those cards in my wallet. Let me see if I do. And you could have those grams. Yeah, I do. You could have those grams mailed to you, and somewhere, hunting license, car key. No, I don't. I have the 1/20th of a gram of gold, and I keep it in my wallet. But anyhow, so I was typically ordering or having, every time I got 10 grams accumulated, I'd have them send it to me. Well, I thought, well, I'm wasting money because it's cost me $50 to have it shipped to me from Germany. So I'm going to wait until I have 20 grams. So I had So, and it just so happens I had 21 grams. And I called the company and said, okay, I want them shipped to me. And they said, we can't, we're going bankrupt. We're closing our doors. So Carrot Bars International, based out of Frankfurt, Germany, owes me 21 and a half grams of gold. So there's 31.1 grams to an ounce. So it's roughly 2/3 of an ounce. So take today's price of gold, which was what, 4,000? So 2/3 of 4,000, they owe me pretty close to $3,000 that I lost because they wouldn't send it to me. So that's my experience. Iggy Homestead says that there's no hunting animals, but lots of stray dogs. Yes, you will be competing with other animals for food in a SHTF situation. So, stray dogs are going to probably consume the vast majority of things that you would like to eat, to include squirrel, groundhog, and things like that. I think that your biggest fear is going to be hungry two-legged animals. That I am definitely afraid of hungry two-legged animals, which is why it's so important that we are in this together. Form those leagues now. Know who you can trust. Know who you can invite into your home. Know whose home you want to go into. Form your communication structures. Form your support structures. Get all that taken care of now, because when people are hungry and willing to kill for food, it's too late for you to form friendships because you don't know who you can and can't trust. Take an active process in building those relationships now. And I did find those two that I wanted to show you, so I can show you those now. Baby bunnies, if you can raise rabbits in the backyard, that's fantastic. I had a friend give a discussion to one of our groups. She's convinced that raising goats is also one of the best things to do. They have a normal litter on a regular schedule. They grow, they always have two. It's just, everything about goats that she told us is just unbelievable. That goats and rabbits, she said, were the two primary meat sources you want to have if you can. And then she said as a third, it would be chickens. So goats, rabbits, chickens are the things you want to raise. I saw quail. Quail's another good one to have as well. I agree. But pollination is going to be an issue. And so, and that's because of the amount of insecticides that we're using. So hopefully, if we're in an SHTF situation and the amount of overall overproduction, overuse of insecticides goes down, we can get the bee population back up, and then we can get more and more flora and fauna emerging as a result of that. Okay, I'm going to get down here. All kinds of great ideas. I'm going to bypass a lot of that. I'm sorry, people. I wish I could keep up with you. I do want to show you these other two and close with that note. So I want to share the screen for this one. Yep. So I do want to share this one. This is American Survivor. And over here on this black bar, you've got support live free, join, and networking. So go down to networking, click on it, and then look for chapters. And you can look here and provide your information. And then that way, these are all the active chapters now, but you can also put your name in so that they have, it's not going to be published for other people to see, but they will have a database. And as soon as they have two people in the same area, they'll let you know so that you can get together to form a chapter of your own. The other one that I would like to make you aware of is this one, which is TACTA. So this is on the resource page for TACTA. You'll notice that they have James Jones's books. So Advanced Survival, 150 Survival Secrets. You come on down. You got the Prepper's Medical Manual, the one we're reading right now, Surviving the Coming War. Got all kinds of great stuff here. They have all kinds of great articles. You can go into the Journal of Self-Defense and search journal archives. So you can either do it by date or by subject, and you can just put in what you want to find out, and they'll give you anything and everything that's related to that subject. So I really like this one as well. Those two, I think, should be essential tabs on your search engine. Okay, and that's it. So hopefully we haven't kept you too long. Hopefully you got something good out of it. We will be back next week. We're once again going to have 1 hour. We're going to do chapters 20 and 21. Let me get you what those are. 20 is alternative power, and 21 is a wartime economy. So keep your eye on gold and silver as we get towards that wartime economy. So, oh shucks, I'm sorry. Let me see. I wonder what happened to my... You're right. I don't know what I did, but oh, here I know what I did. There we go. I turned off the camera. There we go. Okay, so remember, we'll be back next week. We'll talk about wartime economy, and what was the other one? I forgot already. Oh, well. So, Book of Numbers, chapter 6, verses 24, 25, 26. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord let his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord look upon you kindly and grant you peace. So please, go to those two, tacta.org and americansurvivor.com. And remember that we're all in this together so we can come out the other side together. Please continue to be kind, polite, and respectful to each other because togetherness is the key. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.